So, why do all football clubs suddenly look exactly like tech companies? I mean, seriously, look closely at the badges of Europe's biggest clubs today. Now, compare them with the crests they proudly wore 20 or 30 years ago. The difference is absolutely impossible to ignore. Those intricate crests packed with ribbons, historic symbols, and complex designs, well, they've slowly been erased. They've been replaced by clean lines, simple shapes, and this stark, minimalist branding that honestly feels a lot more at home in Silicon Valley than on a muddy pitch. And some fans absolutely love this sleek modern look. Others, they are totally convinced the sport is losing its very identity. But why is this actually happening right now? Is it just some passing design trend, or is there a massive, unseen force driving the whole thing?
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the intense, functional, and commercial forces that are rapidly and permanently reshaping the visual identity of global football. As you'll see, we're going to trace exactly how this sport evolved from local community coats of arms into sleek billion-dollar digital assets.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. First, we'll explore the origins of the club logo. Second, the digital and commercial revolution. Third, exactly why logos simplify. Fourth, the Juventus identity. Fifth, the fan reaction. And finally, finding that balance between tradition and the future. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. The origins of the club logo, or the romance of the past.
To truly grasp why football logos are changing so radically today, we actually have to travel back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Back then, corporate branding wasn't even a concept. Clubs weren't trying to sell millions of shirts in overseas markets. They were pure, authentic representations of their local communities. These original emblems were absolutely not marketing logos. They were complex coats of arms where every single detail held profound historical meaning. Think about Liverpool adopting the iconic liverbird, or Manchester City's older crest featuring a ship deeply representing the city's proud industrial past. Barcelona, they combined the cross of St. George with the Catalan flag to firmly root themselves in their region. And Real Madrid literally added a royal crown after receiving official recognition from the Spanish monarchy. Every single symbol told a vivid local story. The contrast between that era and ours is just stark. In the past, a badge really only needed to appear printed on a paper match program or thickly embroidered on a heavy wool scarf. Back then, complexity meant prestige. Nobody was thinking about how it looked on a screen. But today, simplicity is survival. Clubs like Bayern Munich and Manchester United are massive global brands with hundreds of millions of supporters. Their identities absolutely must be optimized for tiny smartphone screens.
Which brings us to part 2, the digital and commercial revolution, football as global entertainment.
We're shifting away from the romance here and getting into the cold, hard economics of entertainment. Because everything, and I mean everything, changed during the 1990s. Football stopped being just a local weekend sport. It exploded into one of the most lucrative global entertainment industries on the planet. The explosion of global television meant the Premier League grew into an international product overnight. The Champions League was suddenly reaching audiences on every single continent. In the blink of an eye, clubs found themselves with diehard supporters thousands of miles away from their home cities. They were competing for worldwide attention. And this massive commercial expansion? That set the perfect stage for 2017, when the minimalist era truly took over the sport.
But here's the thing you need to know. Football did not invent this trend. Not at all. Look at Google in tech, MasterCard in finance, Volkswagen in automotive, Pepsi in beverages. Over the past 15 years, almost every major international company completely flattened their designs and embraced minimalism. Football is merely following a massive, global corporate trend. They are adapting to the exact same pressures as the world's biggest corporations.
So, part 3, why logos simplify, the practical necessity behind the trend.
Now, it is very easy to look at a modernized crest and accuse the designers of just being lazy, right? Of simply stripping away the art. But the truth is, they are adapting to incredibly harsh constraints. The world became digital, and the logo simply had to follow. A modern logo must survive on mobile applications, on smartwatches, streaming platforms, social media avatars, and video game interfaces. A highly detailed, gorgeous traditional crest becomes a completely unrecognizable blur when it's shrunk down to a phone screen. Thick lines remain visible, bold shapes are instantly recognizable. At the end of the day, fewer details allow a logo to actually survive in the digital wild.
But beyond the screen lies a massive financial incentive, the streetwear crossover. Modern football clubs earn immense money collaborating with brands like Adidas, Nike, and Puma. And these collections are designed for everyday fashion, not just match days. A complex traditional crest, it looks like sportswear. But a clean, minimalist design? That feels like everyday fashion, instantly appealing to casual consumers who might not even support the club. It's a real game changer for revenue.
Moving to part 4, the Juventus identity, the 2017 shock that changed everything.
This was the absolute climax of the narrative, the exact moment the entire football branding industry was turned completely on its head. In 2017, Juventus didn't just casually update their traditional oval crest. No, they entirely discarded it. They replaced over a century of history with an incredibly minimalist logo built around 2 simple black lines forming a J. The reaction? Immediate and explosive. Supporters were totally stunned. Many argued it looked far more like the logo of a luxury fashion brand than one of the biggest, most historic football clubs in Europe.
But Juventus? They had a highly calculated vision for global expansion. Their strategy was clear: redesign the badge, create an adaptable lifestyle brand, enter those lucrative fashion markets, and drive unprecedented international growth. Whether traditional fans loved it or hated it, literally everyone on the planet was talking about Juventus. From a pure corporate strategy perspective, it was a massive success, and it absolutely paved the way for clubs like Inter Milan and Aston Villa to follow suit and flatten their own designs.
Part 5. The fan reaction. The battle of soul versus commerce.
Football isn't like most businesses, is it? For the sport's most important stakeholders, the supporters, this is a deeply emotional war. As this powerful quote puts it, for fans, a badge isn't a brand, it's a memory. For so many supporters, the crest is the one constant through decades of changing players, revolving managers, and billionaire owners. It represents family traditions, it represents their childhood. So changing the logo, it feels like ripping away a piece of the club's actual soul.
And this generates what we call the corporate fear. Fans have a very valid worry here. They see clubs sacrificing their deep, unique local roots in exchange for international marketing opportunities. They fear that all these minimalist circles, flat colors, and simple initials are stripping away the very individuality that made these institutions special in the first place. The fear is that soon every football club will look exactly the same, like a lineup of identical, soulless tech companies.
Finally, Part 6. Balance between tradition and future. Finding that middle ground. So, is there a way out of this? Fortunately, not every club has chosen to reinvent themselves by just throwing their history away. Many favor gradual evolution over aggressive revolution. They realize that authenticity and history are actually incredibly valuable parts of their brand. Take Manchester City. They returned to a more traditional circular crest after specifically listening to fan feedback. Liverpool, they successfully modernized their branding, all while fiercely protecting the famous Liverbird. Arsenal simplified their badge over time, but always kept the iconic cannon right at the center of their identity. These clubs understand something crucial. Fans don't buy a shirt just because it looks fashionable. They buy it because it represents something real. And this actually points us toward the real future of branding: flexible identities. Instead of forcing one dramatically simple logo everywhere, clubs will use multiple variations, maybe one for a social media post, another for official documents, and a beautifully detailed version for the matchday shirt itself. Plus, with advancing technology, we're seeing animated badges and dynamic motion graphics. The future doesn't have to be entirely static, and it definitely doesn't have to be devoid of history. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider this question. Is football changing with the times, or is it losing its soul? Balancing a century of local community history with the ruthless demands of a billion-dollar digital industry is incredibly difficult. The badge on the front of that shirt carries the immense weight of historic victories and heartbreaking defeats, passed down through generations. When a football club changes its logo, it's never just changing a design. It is changing a piece of history. So the next time you see a freshly modernized crest, ask yourself, did they manage to find the perfect balance, or did they just become another tech company? Thanks for tuning in.